Good morning and welcome to the March 16th union meeting. And I got some ground to cover today, so we'll just get right to the report. Power and utilities, some overtime, 8061, working 7/10s. And a lot of times I go through these departments and maybe new people don't understand, and maybe even some of our older members don't understand. So I kind of wanted to give a brief explanation of 8061 and what it means to our unit, and that 8061 is actually the construction department within our unit, which allows us to be amalgamated, meaning that we're one unit across the whole site as opposed to a production unit that only has a building. And what that means for the membership is that allows you to use your seniority across the site for laterals, supplemental out-plant overtime, and things of that nature. And also, if you were in an ILO status in a plant, you could be moved from that plant to another plant, whereas in a production unit, you would be kind of stuck where you were, and you would have to suffer through job postings to go somewhere else and actually leave that unit to go to another unit. Also say that it allows you to have your own leadership team, which is it's a very rare in the Ford system to have a only skilled trades unit. R&E has one with Paul Vergari's group, but here we have this one. And so you actually have a chairman, a vice president of bargaining, you have your own district people, you have your own job security rep, your ERC, ESSP, health and safety reps. All of those are yours specifically, as opposed to in a building. If you were in a standalone building, you wouldn't be governed by the production chair, and you would have a skilled rep, but you really would be kind of part of that group. So it's very unique and it's very different, and it's something that if you look through the contract, except in the Rouge, except in the Rouge, except in the Rouge, because we are unique and different. And so I wanted to kind of cover that and let you know that that's what 8061 does, and it allows us that, and the power department to a lesser extent. Also, power allows us to have that movement around the Rouge and to be an amalgamated unit as one, including World Headquarters and Vehicle Service Center and the EDC one. So that's a little bit about 8061. Engine plant working 7/12s. Truck plant, body regular schedule, paint, electricians 100%, final regular schedule. Central and Rev, both working 100%. DDMP working the regular schedule. Dearborn Tool and Die, regular schedule, a little bit of overtime. Stamping plant, Area A, overtime is necessary for certain trades. Area B, regular schedule. Facilities, some overtime on various projects. World Headquarters, 7/10s. VSC, working the regular schedule. And we were successful in hiring 3 auto mechanics. We'd like to welcome Paul Cook, Matt LaRoe, and Jeffrey Jones to the VSC. The Rev, onboarding a few of the electricians from the first rounds of postings. Process is daunting and frustrating, and we're working through it. We've been experiencing issues with getting trades vetted from the joint parties. What ends up happening is someone will apply for a job, we'll interview them, we'll say that, yeah, that we want to process them, we'll take all their credentials and we'll send them on to National Ford Department and the TTC, Labor Affairs. And, from there sometimes things go a little sideways because they have to have 8 years verifiable, or they have to have done an apprenticeship and have to have a card. And a lot of times that stuff gets jumbled up, and it's a long process, but we're getting through it. We have been successful in hiring some people on. So region summer school at Black Lake will be July 10th through the 15th, and the chaplaincy conference will be May 1st through the 6th. UAW Constitutional Convention will be July 25th through the 28th. And the slated tentative delegate elections are tentatively May 12th and the 13th, and then May 20th would be a runoff election. Committee reports, health and safety, Workers' Memorial will be April 28th at noon. Skilled trades, sub-council was held last week, March 8th through the 9th in Kansas City. And so when I say sub-council, I mean that the National Ford Department and Ford as a whole have all their groups broke up into sub-councils. You have sub 1, sub 2, sub 3. Sub 3 is the Skilled Trade Council, and what that means for us is that in that council we have a chance to meet with Kentucky Truck, Kansas City, Chicago, MAP, FRAP, Livonia, and we have a chance to discuss issues that pertain specifically to skilled trade. And in that sub-council, that's where your resolutions are sent. If they're pertaining to skilled trades, your resolutions would be sent to that sub-council to be moved on to the resolutions committee. So a lot of time, your concerns, I hear them, Dwayne hears them, Paul hears them, and we go to these sub-councils and we put our concerns forward, like hiring, like apprenticeship, like work rules, and a lot of those things. Some things are universal. AWS, that's universal. So that would go to that would come out of our subcommittee, but it would go into a different committee. But anyway, so sub 3 is your committee, that's the skilled trade committee, and that's when we meet, anywhere we meet as a subcommittee, and as 3, that's your skilled trade committee. So I didn't know how many people knew that, but that's where it's at. Also out of that group of the sub 3, you'd have a national negotiator. So I was elected national negotiator twice out of that subcommittee to take that subcommittee's concerns forward to the big table during negotiations. Benefits, optional life insurance, open enrollment will be April 18th through May 28th. That's the additional accidental death and dismemberment insurance. Job security, again, like I said, this is a little long, so I wanted to kind of take time to explain a couple of things we've been dealing with lately and make sure you understand. So when we say job security, for our unit, job security really pertains to the larger extent outsourcing, outside contractors, and that sort of thing. So when we talk about that, we have that ability to talk about job security based on the Bugus letter, which is on page 65 in the skilled trades volume. And basically what that letter allows us to do is keep any work in-house that we can contain, given manpower, timing, and skill set and equipment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What's dangerous is when we as a group give up work, when we as a group decide that we no longer want to do a certain amount of work, because with the Bugus letter comes a utilization. In other words, if we can't contain all the work, but we are going to bring in outside contractors in, we can take a portion of the work and make sure we're fully utilized and working as much as we can work before we let any of that work out. The scary part about saying that you don't want to do work or losing that work is that there's no utilization tied to that any longer. What's that mean for you? That would mean that if Group X decides they don't want to do whatever work they normally work, that portion of their work, that you could literally find yourself in the plant on 8 hours, Monday through Friday, or working your regular schedule on the MAP schedule or 7 on, 7 off, while outside contractors are working full bore over in a part of the plant, doing work that we just decided we didn't want to be part of anymore. It's very dangerous. And as a group, Joe Bush's job security has done an excellent job fighting it. We fight that all the time. We fight the company telling us, hey, that's not work you do anymore. Hey, we don't want to be involved in that. That's too dangerous. This is too risky. That's too this. We don't want to be on the roof anymore. We don't want to be in tunnels anymore. So we fight that every week, every Thursday. We fight tooth and nail to keep as much work as we can in-house. We're only as good at the fight as you give us in support. And so that's where we're at. And it's a symbiotic relationship. We have to have your support on the floor so we can fight in here to keep as much work as we can in-house, as much work as you want to do, and to keep you fully engaged at all times. That's where the letter is, page 65, the Bugus letter, you can read it. That's what gives us the ability to do that. Joint Apprenticeship Committee, 72 apprentices currently active, plus 16 are allocated for 2022. We also have 9 direct hire requisitions and 2 replacement recs, making a total of 27 new apprentices will be indenturing in 2022. And so when you heard me say we have 9 direct hire apprentices, we wanted to go over the contract again. So in the skilled trades on page 109, when they did some of the non-apprenticeable trades in the last few agreements, automotive mechanic, refrigeration, RMI, refrigeration, powerhouse mechanic, stationary steam, and industrial pyrometry. Those were all considered trades that we could still hire, but we weren't apprenticing anymore. So the agreement was, if you hire one, then we get an apprentice rec. So those apprentices are indentured, predicated on the direct hires from the street of these trades. So in other words, I went over Paul Cook, Matt LaRoe, and Jeffrey Jones. Those 3 auto mechanics were hired. Because they were hired, 3 apprentice recs were generated because they were direct hires. Didn't know if you knew that. Thought I'd share that. That's something interesting. And so we will have in the background the flag that a Frank DeBuell, pipe fitter, new pipe fitter out of Power, made for the room. We have it on the wall of the room, and we wanted to thank him for that. We thought that was pretty cool. We were successful in hanging it, even though it was about 1,000,000 pounds, but we got it up. And so I wanted to wish you health and happiness. I wanted to thank Mike for doing the recording today. We got a little bit of a delay, but we're getting it out there. And I wanted to say, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, give me a call. If you want us to be in your building, we'll walk DDMP today, but if you want us in your building, let me know. We'll come and meet you head on. And if you have any issues, text me, call your committee. Brian, Justin, Richie, Deliante, we're all available. So with that, thank you very much, and God bless.